again, if I could go back in the past and change it, I wouldn't do what I did. I would do something else. I'm sure a lot of us have had that experience. Who knows? As I said in my song, who knows if that wasn't such an opportunity that God brought back for you and you still didn't do it? Who knows if you prayed a prayer to God and said, God, I didn't put up my hand, but God, if I could only go back in the past, Lord, I would put up my hand this time. And he did it just for you. This is just hypothetical. And he did it just for you to give you the opportunity again, and you didn't do it again. Who knows? So I'm saying to you, whenever an opportunity comes, please do the right thing. Don't let the devil tell you, don't do it. Don't put up your hand. It's not for you, it's for somebody else. Take every opportunity that God presents to you to do the right thing. Okay? All right. So let's continue. We'll call the names after. I will end just before, because I want to just close off something here. And we will give you the opportunity, Joshua, to say hi to everybody. But let's look at what we have been doing. We're talking about leadership. And you all will forgive me, I'm still very nasal. I'm still battling, but God is good. We are still able you're still able to hear me. So we are looking at leadership as an acronym, and we are looking at D, and we started with discipline, that a leader is supposed to be disciplined. And the last thing we looked at is that a leader is supposed to be determined. And we looked at determination. We said, is that quality that you show when you decide to do something and you would not let anything or anyone stop you? Like this morning, I was determined to get up. Even though I started to feel very nasal again and my chest was congested, I was determined to get out of that bed, even though I felt like lying down, and I got up. That's what determination is. It gives you that drive, that will to do something. We said that determination causes you to see the end from the beginning, even if you don't see the middle. You don't know how it's going to be done. You don't know, but you know it's going to be done. You know you're going to get there. You know you're going to end up with that thing. Maybe that's how, okay, let me switch around. I was going to say, maybe that's how First Lady felt when she saw me, that she determined that this is the person for me. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe when I saw her, I said, okay, no matter what you do, you're going to end up with me. But determination says, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. We saw that determination produces perseverance and endurance. It causes you to endure to the end. Like a marathon runner, you're on your last, and you want to drop down, but you have to cross that tape. You have to burst that tape. That's determination. And all of us are supposed to be determined, and leaders in particular must be determined. Determination causes you to be focused and fixed and stubborn, and that not give up attitude. It gives you the ability to live through all kind of unpleasant circumstances. You make the sacrifices that you need to make in order to get what you want to get. This may not be the job that you want, but you know you have to feed your family. You know that you must do something. You must get to the job that you want by doing this one. So you do it. You're determined to do whatever to get what you have to get. That's determination. It causes the adrenaline to rise up in you. It makes what seems impossible possible. That's what determination does for you. It makes your challenges different. It makes you look at your challenges differently. The mountains that were in front of you, you cut them down easily because you are determined. That's a quality that all of us should have, and in particular, leaders. We want to look at three stories tonight, three very familiar stories. We've done these things over and over. We've talked about them. We made references to them. But let's look at them again. Luke chapter 18, verses 2 to 5. Luke chapter 18, verses 2 to 5. Let's look at them. Who has that?
Hello, good night, everyone. Luke 18, 2 to 5. Saying, there was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me.
Thank you. As I said, we know the story. The woman kept going to the church and going, and this was a widow. And widows had no say. Widows had very little say. So he didn't have to take her on. He could have kept putting her off all the time. But she kept going. Even though she knew that she didn't have much, she was the least of them. She wasn't a man where they would listen. She knew that. She understood that. But she was determined to get her justice. And she said, even though I'm a woman, even though I'm a widow, I have no husband to think for me. I have no sons to look out for me. I have no neighbors. Nobody care about me and my business. Nobody cares. But she was determined in spite of her circumstances. She was determined in spite of her condition. She was determined in spite of who she was to get justice. She could have given up after the first time or the second time or the third time, and we don't know. And it's not that she was going to somebody who would give her a listening ear. This person didn't care about anybody. She couldn't go and appeal to him in the name of God. She couldn't go and appeal to him in his humanity. He didn't care about God. He didn't care about man. He didn't care about anybody. And that did not stop her. She was determined. And because she was so determined, this man said, you know what? I ain't able with this woman. She's coming continuously. That goes to show it wasn't one or two or three times. She kept going and going and going and going until he decided, I can't take no more. I cannot take it anymore. And it is because of her determination that he gave her the justice that she so required, that she so needed. This woman, in spite of all that was against her, in spite of her circumstance, nobody on her side, nobody to stand up for her. She didn't have a lawyer. Maybe she couldn't even afford legal fees. She didn't have anybody. But she kept going, and she kept going. And that is determination. Determination is, listen, even if nobody is going with me, I'm going. I must get this thing. This thing is so important. That's the kind of quality you're supposed to have in a leader. You must have that quality. That never say die quality. That I'm not giving up quality. When everybody else gives up, you as a leader must say, I will keep going and going and going. That's determination. Let's look at the other one. Luke 11, 5 to 8.
Hi, good night.
Go ahead.
Luke 11, 5 to 8. And he said unto them, which of you shall have a friend and shall go unto him at midnight, and say unto him, Friend, lend me some loaf. For a friend of mine in his journey is come to me, and it has nothing, and I have nothing to set before him. And he for within shall answer and said, Trouble me not. The door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot rise and give thee. And I said unto you, though he will not rise and give him, because he is his friend, just because of his importunity, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, he will rise and give him as many as he needed.
Thank you. So this is a situation where a man, he has gone to bed already. He's sleeping, and his friend comes knocking. And who is that outside? And his friend called him, hey, it's me, boy, it's John. Listen, I have a problem. I have some friends that they pass through by me, and I have nothing to give them, boy, nothing. And the man says, listen, John, I inside already, I can't come outside. I know you're my partner, but I can't come out. And John says, but I'm in need, boy. It's embarrassing that I don't have anything. And he said, well, I can't, John, we're sleeping already. If you were John, what would you do? Because you're going by him, you're going by a partner, you're going by a friend, you're going by your neighbor, and they're not willing to give you. I am sure you would at one point say, well, look, you know what? I can't do anything, even though I'm embarrassed, I have nothing to give to my friend who is by me, but, so I have to leave because this man, I'm embarrassing myself now because when I call in, it's not only him hearing, it's his whole family hearing me. And you may want to give up. You may want to go by somebody else. But this man, John, persisted. He persisted. He was determined because, you see, he was in an embarrassing position. In Jewish custom, one of the things that was very important was hospitality. You had to be able, if somebody comes by you, to be hospitable. In fact, they were very hospitable. They were glad to receive strangers. Give them something to eat and wash their feet, and that was part of their culture. So for you not to have something to give to somebody, it places you in an embarrassing position. And I say embarrassing, we may not understand the depth of the embarrassment that held for somebody, because that was part of how they lived. That was part of their culture. That was part of who they were. So not being able to do that put you in a position where, it is almost like worse than death. And that was the reason why he was so persistent. And this man, he went by as his friend. And the thing is, he had to get up to give him. And in order to do that, the way they used to sleep, the children were sleeping close to the door, but the servants, the children, the wife, the husband. So the man of the house slept furthest away from the door. For him to get up now, he had to get up and cross over. They didn't sleep on beds, eh? So he had to cross over everybody. So he's thinking of all that. That's why he said, my family's already inside. I can't come and have to cross over all of them to come to give you something to eat. You're my friend, but I can't do that, man. It's too hard. Go and ask somebody else. But the man was persistent. He was determined. He was determined that he was not going to leave until this man got up. And because of his determination, the Bible says it's not because he was his friend, but because of his importunity. That's his determination. That's what importunity means. He was persistent. He was determined. He kept asking him and asking him until he finally said, you know what, all right. And he went and he gave him. Determination is a quality. If you want to get through, even in the most difficult circumstances, you've got to be determined. If this man wasn't determined, he would have given up. I don't know how he would have gotten the bread, because this was his friend, and maybe everybody else, he might have gone by somebody else, and listen, it might have been the same thing because it was late. But he was determined. He was determined to get that bread. He was determined not to be embarrassed, because it wasn't just him. His whole family would have been embarrassed. And the community would have heard about it, because this was their culture. They were hospitable. That's why in those days, even the scripture said, be careful to entertain strangers, you might be entertaining angels. That was part of their culture. They entertained strangers. Remember when these three men came by Abraham? They were angels, he didn't know. And he went and he tells Sarah, bake something quick, we have guests. That's how they live. And this man had nothing to give, and he was determined. He was determined. That's the quality called determination. It gets you results. Let's look at the last one, Genesis 32, verses 22 to 32. Genesis 32, verses 22 to 32.
Good night. I'll read it, Dr. Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob left alone, and they wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow on his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me.
Continue reading. I want to go to verse 32.
27. Okay. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherever is it that thou hast asked after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he hailed upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which it upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew and shrank.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm not going to read it over. It gives a different, it gives you a clearer thing when you read it in the New King James Version, because I'm listening to some of those things, and it is so different. I don't know if you all got the picture, so let me just paint it for you. Jacob, he was with his two wives, and they crossed over to one side of the river, and then Jacob was alone, and then they said Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. He was holding on to this man, of course, that turned out to be an angel of the Lord. And they fought, and Jacob, he knew that this was, an angel of the Lord, or a representative of God. And the man said, okay, let me go. It's time for me to go. And Jacob said, no, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. He held on to it. Now, this is a man fighting with an angel. We know how powerful angels are. But Jacob was so determined to get his blessing. He held on to the angel. He held on, and as I said, you know how strong an angel is. So much so that the angel had to touch him on his hip, the hollow of his hip, and send it out of place. I could imagine the pain that he felt. And Jacob asked him for his name. Tell me your name. And he said, why are you asking me for my name? And then he asked Jacob, what is his name? And he said, Jacob. He said, okay, you know what? Your name is no longer Jacob. You are going to be called Israel. That's where he got the name from. Israel. Israel was determined. Maybe that's what's happening right now in the Gaza Strip. They are determined to wipe out the whole of Hamas. They're not giving up. They're holding on there. They are determined. These are descendants of the same man, Israel. Israel was determined to get his blessing. It's a quality that we should have. It's a quality. You see, we've got to understand that there are certain things we need to hold on to. There are certain things that we need to be determined about. Now, all this really is about prayer. Those three portions of scripture is about being determined in prayer, being persistent in prayer, coming to God over and over, praying without ceasing. But it's not just prayer alone. Our whole life, our whole attitude as believers should be one of determination. I am determined to do the right thing. I am determined not to do the wrong thing. I am determined, no matter what happens to me, I am going to hold on to God. I am determined, and you know what? You see, these 3 days, I am going to make it. I'm not going to quit after 1 hour, not after 1 day, not after 2 days. I'm going to make it through to the end. I'm going to hold on until the end. That determination. And we've got to understand that that is how we are supposed to be. And leaders, you have to display that quality of determination. There's a friend of mine, you probably know him, and I'll call his name because he said it publicly. He was sharing publicly. I think I was interviewing him at the time. His name is Russell Arching. I don't know if many of you heard it, but many, many years ago, he and his wife now, they have an organization that does counseling for couples and that sort of thing. But I remember he was still sharing a story that his wife, something happened to his wife. And I don't think, maybe she was in a coma or something. I really don't remember. But he said to God, and this is what it really struck me. He said, God, he said, I am not going to eat until you heal my wife. I'm not letting any food touch my mouth until you heal my wife. He was so determined. And guess what? God healed his wife. God saw his heart and healed his wife because he was determined. When you're determined, you get results. You get results. The widow got her result. Jacob got his blessing. Israel got his blessing. And guess what? Guess what? The man who went by his friend for the bread, he got it. This quality called determination is something that we should all possess. We have to go after the right thing with passion. Determination gets a result. I remember, I laugh as I remember this. I don't know if I've ever told you this story about Jonathan, my son Jonathan. There are things that come back to you sometime. I remember once he was much younger, and he came to me and he was using my phone. He said, Daddy, can I borrow your phone? Can I use your phone? And I said, I'm using my phone, Jonathan. No. So he left. few minutes later, not an hour, 1 or 2, a few minutes later, Jonathan came back again. Daddy, I could use your phone? I said, Jonathan, what did I tell you? He looked at me. I said, that's correct. No. Jonathan left. After a few minutes, Jonathan came back again. Daddy, I could use your phone? I said, well, this boy crazy. I just told him no twice already, and he's back again. I said, Jonathan, no. And he left. And I'm saying, but I don't understand this child. The 4th time the boy come back. Same thing. Daddy, I could use your phone. I said, Jonathan, what did I tell you? Didn't I tell you no? Jonathan, do you understand what no means? And Jonathan looks at me and says, no. I gave him the phone. He didn't understand what no meant. All right? And he's answering me and telling me no, that he doesn't understand. He was determined to get my, I don't know why. But he got the phone. Because I had to laugh actually when I asked him if you know what no means, and he says no. How could you answer no if you don't know what no means? I had to laugh and give him the phone. That's determination. Determination. Determined people they're bold, they're courageous, and somehow they always come out on top. That's determined people. Determined people find new and creative ways. They're resourceful, they're innovative. If they don't have what it takes, there's a saying, if you don't have the best, make the best of what you have. That's a determined person. It's like this show. How many of you have ever seen the show MacGyver? Some of you, I don't know if you've ever seen it. MacGyver always they never have what is needed. He might be locked up somewhere, or his hands are tied up, or they trapped somewhere, and he will take whatever it is to make something so that they can escape. That's a determined person. They find new ways of doing things, unorthodox ways of doing things. Like the person who came up with the paper clip. They were determined to find a way of holding things together without stapling it. And that's how they just bent a wire and put it between two paper, put some paper, and that's how that person became a multimillionaire. That's when you find new ways, you're looking for new ways of doing things. Determined people are self-driven. You don't have to push them. They're self-driven. That's how we're supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to push you. Nobody's supposed to crank you up to worship God. You are supposed to do that yourself. When you are determined to do something, it doesn't matter. You do it. Folks, I don't know how many of you know, but I play the guitar. I haven't played the guitar long while, but I play the guitar. It's one of the probably only instrument. I play a little bit of keyboard, but I play the guitar. Nobody taught me to play guitar. Nobody. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to any classes to learn to play guitar. The church that I used to go to, there was a guitar in the church that belonged to the church. I know somebody in the church who the guitar belonged to him. He had two, so he used to leave one in church. And I was just fascinated by this instrument. And I used to go, and on Fridays we had meeting, and I used to go early, and I would pick up the guitar, and then I would watch this gentleman when he was playing guitar in church. I watched him. I see how he put his fingers, and then when he wasn't there, I take up the guitar and I put my fingers the same way, and I watch and I watch and I observed. And wherever I went, I looked at people who played guitar, and then I would ask questions. What's that called? How you do that? Hold your finger. I was determined to learn to play the guitar, and I learned to play. Nobody taught me. Or maybe I should say everybody taught me, because I kept asking anybody with a guitar. I would ask them, how you do this? How you do that? How you put your finger? How you make this? How you play this song? That's how I learned to play guitar, because I was determined to do it. That's the kind of quality that you should have. A quality called determination. That even when nobody wants to help you, even when nobody shows you, you will do it yourself. Some of you need to learn how to cook. Some of you need to learn how to whatever. Don't wait. You can't tell yourself, but I have nobody to show me. If you are determined enough, you will be able to do it. You will find a way to do it. You will learn to do it. But you got to be determined. You must be determined. That's the only way you're going to get through if you're determined. I'm going to have to stop here. So much more. I wanted to finish this tonight, but I won't be able to. We will continue tomorrow night, God's willing. All right, because I want Joshua to greet everybody. So, folks, I want you to determine in yourself to be determined, because it's a quality that will take you straight to the top. It's a quality that will bring you success. It's a quality that if you have, nobody can stop you. You've got to be determined. God bless you. God bless you. Back over to you.